Things get real in life when you start getting those phone calls telling you that so and so passed from such and such health condition. Or did you know that this person was battling such and such? The way I process bad news, right, that's going to take an emotional toll on me, and you have to protect yourself, you have to protect your peace, is I choose how I process it. And sometimes I don't even let in the bad news. See, I used to live in California 3 years ago, nearly 3 years ago. Proximity is king, and I say this all the time. Living in a different state, away from everyone, no friends, no family, just me and my senior dog, has given me a new perspective to my own personal life and immortality as well. And I understand that there's a stage in life, there are stages and phases in life where these things are going to happen. Now, I am sitting here at 49 years old. I understand that a lot of people are passing away in their 30s, some even in their 20s. Nothing is guaranteed in life. And so just lately, I have this person in my extended family, her husband passed away from liver cancer. And I wasn't very curious about this person nor his condition, and we didn't have a relationship. And so I had to keep it very real. It doesn't mean that I'm not empathetic and I don't have those feelings there. The first and foremost is I got to remind myself where I am at in my own life, here and spiritually. See, I'm going to make a comment, but it's not meant to cause any distress or harm to the person listening on the other end, because everyone has a perspective to life and where they are coming from. My position is that my family was dealt with a very cruel set of cards when I was at the tender age of 13, 14, 15. And I didn't realize what was happening to my father at the early onset of Parkinson's. Nothing can prepare you for a terminally ill parent, let alone a condition like Parkinson's that is not only cruel, but it's brutal, man. That condition will literally in every way beat you to your knees and keep you there. And then some. It'll destroy your soul. Parkinson's is a very cruel sentence. It's worse than a death sentence, to be honest. Like, it's not over quickly. You get to watch the decline of a superhero. Like, I'm talking about from top of the mountain to bottom of the mountain. From once upon a time, gracing the stage, gracing life and the platform, and owning your manhood as a father, doing everything he could for his kids, building a mansion from ground zero, like I'm talking about no building, nothing, an architectural plan and design back in Fiji Islands, and then hunting, going out and hunting and finding his future wife, that would be my biological mother, and he would go on to have 3 wonderful kids. We are 3 brothers. We are all very different in that regard, but the story unifies us. We are not all on the same page necessarily today, and we have very different outlooks to life. That's healthy, actually. That's okay. And no, I'm not really much in contact with any of them, to be honest. I am in my own lane, minding my own business. Frankly and brutally being honest here, but there's nothing they could share with me that would move me off of my frame and this locked in mode that I'm in today. And this is not just them, this is people in general. Most people in my life do not add value, which is why I don't have a lot of friends. Even in Nevada, Vegas, I don't have a whole lot of friends, really. So when I get bad news that such and such, so and so died from, such and such condition, I most times converse with this person, the bearer of the news, and for that moment, I may spend an hour or two on the phone with them. And then after we hang up, I have to ask myself, well, how did that conversation make you feel? And what do you do with this information now? How do you process it? And I, frankly, don't do too well with bad news and processing it and talking about it. See, I used to be that kid that used to talk about death and people passing away, and then I used to talk about this for hours and hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks and weeks. Even my guy behind me, Kobe Bryant, when he passed, I wasn't the same guy. I think I changed a little bit. I lost a piece of me when Kobe Bryant died, and I cried and I cried and I cried for quite a few years after his passing. A good 2-3 years, I couldn't accept the fact that he was gone. And there's certain things and certain people pass in your life that you looked up to that change the whole trajectory of your emotions and how you process information, how you look at other families, and how you feel toward those people that are no longer here, but at the same time, you didn't have a relationship with them. You had nothing to do with them. Not in a bad way necessarily. I have not been the same since my father's passing, and even until today. If you have someone terminally ill in your family, especially if it's a very close person, a loved one, I'd love to hear from you on how you process this and how you've lived with it, because according to how I show up every single day is not how my brothers show up. We're very different. I actually carry it on my sleeve, and it's unhealthy. I use it as fuel to, have this underdog mentality, because life was very unfair to us and to me personally as a kid. And my entire life and existence has been about the comeback kid. I'm not a kid anymore, but I'm defying some odds. I've done some things right. And when it comes to health, I'm trying to inspire and pass on the messaging here is that you have to control not just the physical and the physiological, right? The nutrition and all of that. You have to symbolically control what news you're letting enter your system, your ears. What you receive through here, this processes. Then all of this digests what you heard. What you speak is a culmination of all of these things coming together. Your 5 senses that you are protecting, at the end of the day, the goal is inner peace. It's going to be like this. And I don't care who you are. I am talking about myself. My 5 senses are all over the place. These days, when something disturbs my peace, including bad news, while the intention may not have been to disturb my peace, I do have to pay respect and honor the person that's giving me that news. A lot of times, proximity here is I am shut off from whatever's happening in the Bay Area because it's immaterial to what I have to do here in terms of my purpose. I'm a one-man show. I'm building a life of my own here and trying to find my own rhythm. 3 years in a new state is no joke. And right now, it's one of the toughest times. And we have to look out for ourselves and our own health. So I have to ask myself that, hey, this person shared bad news with you today. This is like very sad and tragic news. How much of it do you want to hold on to? It affects me for a number of days, guys. And then it turns into weeks. And then it takes me right back to what my father was going through. And there's this 2 voices on my shoulders. One is this yelling, angry little boy that's yelling to the world that you don't know what happened to my father, so you would never understand. And why are you telling me about your family and someone so and so is about to pass? That person has lived a full 80, 90 years, and only now he or she is sick towards the tail end of their lives. By all means, this doesn't make it okay, guys. what I'm saying is not right. I'm expressing myself. This is the battle I have, right? I come from that household. This is my narrative, but I'm also trying to change the narrative and the story as well by being in my own lane, putting some protectors and barriers around bad news, tragic news, sad news reaching me. But when you get to this age, you really can't avoid it. You have to almost deal with it. And so the way I deal with it is I have to really make a conscious decision to as to how I process all of this. I have a uncle. He is in his late 80s, and he is doesn't have a whole lot of time, from what I understand. And I've been told by my cousins that he's about to go, and there's not much time. You should come and see him. You should come and see him. I may be wired differently, but the honest truth, the sooner you can accept who you are, the more liberating this is on the counter argument side. Is because I've talked about funerals on this channel, and funerals, especially in my culture and my background, and from some of the religious rituals, beliefs, and the systems, and some of them make their own homemade recipes and break the rules. And some of these folks are talking behind from their backsides. It's a lot of conflicting information when you go to these funerals that they're teaching and preaching, which I don't agree with. But also, it's almost like that person is gone. I was not there for them, and I didn't know them this stage in their lives. So why am I going now? What respect am I giving when they were here and I didn't pay my respects then? So why am I going now? This also entails dealing with the family drama, the baggage, the history. From what I understand, there's a lot of, the recent passing in my family exposed a lot of dirt that seems to circle up in these events, and then eventually turns into a social function and happy hour. Second, third, fourth day, there's drinks being passed around, and people are planning the next party, the next prom, and who's the next beauty queen. And before you know it, everyone's business is out on the table, and you lose the whole meaning about attending a funeral and the great speech or lack thereof of the eulogy. And we are running out of great speakers at these events versus people flexing their wealth, their ego, talking about their own hidden agenda, like promoting their business at a funeral. You can't help but pick up the subtle hints and drops on the mic, right? When the people are coming to the mic, speaking their mind, it's less about the person who's passed, but more about their business, and here's the card. So this becomes like a big networking opportunity, and I get all of that. But see, what you're asking me essentially to do is put my life on pause, to go all the way to California, catch a flight to go there, attend that funeral, and I don't even know who that my uncle is anymore because I don't recognize the guy. Put up with all of that, see my mother, who I don't have a relationship with, forced to go back into a pile of ish that I don't really care for because they add no value, meaning not my immediate family. We're talking about my cousins, my aunts, uncles. Everyone has big egos. Everyone is just stuck in their ways, and instead of a growth mindset, they have this evil eye on you and they stare at you. And it's almost like I'm giving my power away by being accessible. This is the problem. This is the fight I have right now. Having a little bit of empathy, right, and understanding, and I know what's happening. News gets to me by select people. I do get the news, but I also can predict this. My engagement with this news and how I process it and how I demonstrated it earlier is going to impact my health, impact my anxiety. So the question that begs is that I know there's a funeral that's going to be coming up. I know someone's going to be passing away. What is my impact? What is the impact by me attending that funeral or no? And their answer is there is no impact. there was never an impact because I was never in that person's life. You may see it differently, but this is the way I process it and try to apply logic to make this make sense to me, because I don't want to live with guilt. I've already done the guilt part of seeing my father go through all of this, and where I'm at 49 is not where he was at 49, which is why I preach a lot about health, wellness, taking care of yourself. And Parkinson's is a neurological disease, right? It's a condition, very much mirrors other conditions like Alzheimer's, right? Mental conditions, the mental cognition, the decline. That's why I talk about intermittent fasting, 10,000 steps, drinking a gallon of water every single day, being good with your nutrition, sleep hygiene. A lot has to go right, but the lot that you have to do is actually good manners. That's it. It's good manners, good hygiene, good habits. Your relationship with alcohol, right? Your vices, stress, right? I already have withstood a lot in my life. I've already seen my hero go down. I've seen my brother pass away. So at this stage, I am putting barriers around my spirit that I cannot just be so readily accessible. And if I don't go to this event, all of a sudden there's resentment, and I know there's going to be resentment, and there's going to be this talk about, you should come to the Bay Area, you should come to California, you should come to visit, right? Everyone is take, expecting me to deliver on a set promise that I never promised. But the expectancy, the entitlement, and the inability to look inward and to see, and then outward thereafter to see what I have been through. My entire family knows what my story is. The entire extended family and the entire California knows what my family went through, and my father, what he was and what he became and how he passed. On the contrary, everyone also knows how toxic my mother is as well. So I'm up against a lot, folks, in that sense. And honestly, to step into that environment and to deal with all the mess that comes with it, it's going to take me back 5, 6, 7, 8 years to someone that I'm no longer, to someone that they cannot identify with, and nor do I want to be identified as myself 7, 8 years ago, because I'm not that guy anymore. So I want you to understand this raw, overview and feedback and synopsis of where I'm coming from, is that your growth is a direct representation of the choices you make and the people you keep in your life. I've yet to do the video about no friends, no family, no nothing, just me. And it's better this way. In a way, it's eerily lonely, but with a quotation mark. You got to figure it out on your own. And the resounding theme to me is that whether these people are in my life or no, they don't move the needle for me. The outcome of the next day and what I have planned or don't have planned, it's not dependent on them being in my lives, but yet they want me to be there. Of course, understandably, the history here is that my father and my uncle and so forth, family members, there was some history there, right? There was some history there. But in fairness, when my father got sick, no one was really around like that. No one really wants to know you when you become terminally ill. Like, people move on quickly. It's almost like you are dead. That version of you that was once upon a time healthy no longer exists, and you are of no use to them. And so people have lived their lives to the fullest. Some of my aunties and uncles have lived their lives to the fullest. You can't just come back and try to take from my pot, man. You can't come back and just try to grab me and say, come here, and you got to go back to the Bay Area and you got to be there because you need to be there. Like, the guilt trip and the expectancy and the Gosh, man, the pressure, the cultural pressure is so annoying. You know, this is where I say you have to exercise your free will. You have to make that decision innately. And if I was in the Bay Area, there's a good chance I would be exposed to all of this mess, and the guilt would eventually get the best of me, and I would have to go and put myself into that environment and bear all of that stress, the drama, you know, the prayer ceremonies that follows for weeks after the person has passed. How about letting that person rest peacefully and not talk about yourselves and your accomplishments and your egos and flex your, attire? And we all die, man. Stop trying to promote your book. Stop trying to promote your business in a funeral. Let things be. This never fails. This never fails, which is why I'm not going to California. I'm not going to go visit someone who's sick, who's ill, unless it's my brother. Like, unless it's one of my brothers. Unless it's someone I really, really care for, and we've had some kind of history that we can just pick up like this and go. Like, that's the connection I'm looking. That's the connection that I will live by and die by, and I cherish those friendships and my brothers. And if they ever need me, I'm a phone call away, of course. But this is the season in my life and chapter to just stay to myself, keep to myself. I'm in a very weird but a good place. It's very peaceful, very peaceful. And I want to keep it this way for a little while. So, this is how I process tragic news, sad news, the bad news. And oftentimes, the bearer of the bad news, I have to massage them slowly. And then eventually, I don't hear back from them. And then when you blink, they've also moved on with their lives. So, for the heat of the moment, that news is like euphoria. People also get a rise from news like that, right? There's also a refreshing feeling when someone passes because they've been struggling for a while and now they're at peace. It's exactly how we felt when my father passed. It wasn't so tragic because we suffered with the condition he had. We suffered with it. So when someone has a terminally ill condition, you're not just watching them wither away and die a slow death. You are also dying a slow death. Long after you're gone, you're still processing it, and I'm still processing it. I mean, I talk about my father and even my mother, right? During my walks, this is therapy for me. This platform allows me to share some of these stories and express myself, and I am not always right, but I will give you the honest feedback. I will always give you the honest truth, cold hard feedback, even if it hurts. Anyway, folks, I want to call it the night here. I wanted to get this off my chest and not leave it till tomorrow and wait for it, because sometimes when you wait too long, a good idea and a topic, you don't just, the energy is different and you shift into a different frame, right? So this is the nature of producing videos and staying on top of your ideas and your thoughts and your process and letting it out, and then let YouTube and the audience do what you may with it. But hopefully this helps and gives you a perspective and puts some pieces together in your life. I don't know. Maybe that's what it does. But thanks for listening, and you decide how you want to process, tragic news and bad news from here on. Maybe you can use a few pieces from this video. I don't know. But till the next one, folks, I'm going to call it the night and get some sleep. Mamba out.